I was sitting at my desk when my phone buzzed. I glanced at the screen, expecting a work notification or maybe a message from my mum. Instead, I saw my wife's name. The message was short, cold, and sharp. I want a divorce. From now on, all communication goes through my lawyer. At first, I thought it was a joke. We'd had arguments, of course, but nothing that made me think she was serious about leaving. My fingers froze above the keyboard. The silence in the room grew unbearable as I read the text over and over. My chest tightened, but my mind refused to panic. She expected me to beg, I thought. She expected me to call her, demand answers, maybe break down in tears. That was her pattern. Push me, wait for the reaction, feed on the chaos. But something inside me shifted that day. Instead of anger or desperation, I felt strangely calm. I typed only one word back, understood. Then I set the phone face down on the desk. My heart was pounding, but my mind was clear. If she truly wanted to walk away, she would. Nothing I could say would change her choice. And if it was a test, I wasn't playing anymore. An hour later, the call started. First one, then another, then a dozen. I didn't answer. The silence on my end must have unnerved her more than any argument ever could. I imagined her pacing the living room, confused that I wasn't fighting. For once, she wasn't in control. By evening, she came home. Her footsteps echoed angrily in the hallway before she appeared in the doorway of my office. Her face was red, her breathing heavy. "That's all you have to say?" she demanded. After everything just understood. I looked at her, calm but firm. "Yes," I said. "You've made your choice and I accept it." My voice was steady, though my heart thumped wildly. For the first time, she seemed unsure of herself. Her mouth opened, but no words came out. It was as though she had expected a war and got silence instead. She sat down on the edge of the desk, her anger fading into confusion. "You don't even care?" she asked. The tremor in her voice betrayed her. She wasn't used to me being composed. I took a slow breath and met her eyes. "I care enough to let you go if that's what you want." The truth is, I had spent years holding this marriage together with trembling hands. I had begged, pleaded, compromised to the point of losing myself. And deep down, I knew she thrived on that imbalance. She loved being chased, adored being begged. But this time I wasn't chasing. For the next few days, she acted strangely. She left her phone out more often, hovered around me, tried to pick fights over nothing. But I remained steady. I didn't shout, didn't beg, didn't crumble. My silence unnerved her more than my words ever could. She had lost her grip. Finally, she broke down one night. Tears streamed down her face as she asked, "Do you really not love me anymore?" I felt the sting of her words, but I stayed honest. "I love you," I said quietly, "but I won't fight for someone who already decided to leave." Her sobs filled the room. She admitted the text was never real. It was a test, a cruel game to see if I cared enough to fight. I shook my head slowly. Love isn't proven by how loudly someone begs. It's proven by consistency, by trust, by respect. She looked shattered. For the first time in years, the power shifted. She was the one reaching, grasping, desperate for reassurance. But I had nothing left to prove. I wasn't cruel, I wasn't cold. I was just done playing a part in her games. My silence had spoken louder than words. Weeks passed and things changed. Our arguments stopped. Not because everything was perfect, but because I refused to fuel the fire. She began to realize the weight of her actions. I, on the other hand, discovered something liberating. I didn't need to cling to someone who threatened to leave. Looking back, that text was the turning point. Whether she stayed or left no longer defined me. I had found my strength in letting go. My wife demanded a divorce by text, but she didn't expect my reaction. And in the end, that one-word reply, "understood," saved me from losing myself. In the weeks that followed, the house grew quieter. She didn't know how to respond to this new version of me. The woman who once thrived on my emotional outbursts now seemed unsettled by my calm. I wasn't ignoring her. I was simply living. And that scared her more than anything. I started going to the gym again, meeting friends I hadn't seen in years, focusing on work with a clarity I'd lost long ago. My energy no longer revolved around trying to keep her satisfied. For the first time in years, I felt like myself. The air in my chest was lighter. She noticed. One evening, while I was cooking dinner, she walked into the kitchen and stood silently behind me. "You're different," she whispered. I kept stirring the pot, not turning around. "Maybe I'm just me again," I replied softly. The silence that followed was heavier than any argument. Her eyes lingered on me longer now. She wasn't sure if she wanted me or just missed the control she used to have. She tried small acts of affection, touching my arm, offering to make coffee, sitting close on the couch. But I could sense the difference. This wasn't love. It was fear. Fear of losing the man she never thought she could lose. For years she believed my devotion was unshakable. She was wrong. I had finally learned that love isn't about chains. It's about freedom, about choosing each other daily without manipulation. And that freedom had changed me forever. One night she broke down again. "I don't want a divorce," she said, her voice trembling. "I was stupid. I was testing you, and I see now how wrong I was." Her eyes searched mine desperately for forgiveness. But forgiveness, I realized, didn't mean going back to how things were. "I forgive you," I said, steady and clear, "but things can't return to what they were. I won't live in fear of ultimatums anymore." She cried, reaching for my hand, and I let her hold it. Yet deep inside, I knew the truth. Our marriage would never be the same. The days turned into months. We stayed together, but everything had shifted. She treated me differently now, with more respect, more caution. And I treated myself differently too, with dignity. Whether the marriage survived or not, I had already won something priceless. I had reclaimed myself. And so when people ask me how we managed to move past that text, I tell them the truth. It wasn't about what she did. It was about how I chose to respond. One word, one moment of quiet strength changed the entire course of our lives. Understood. Months later, I thought the storm had passed, but something in her eyes still unsettled me. One day I saw a message on her phone. "When are you leaving him?" My blood froze. That was when I finally understood. The game had never ended, and this time I chose to walk away,